Hi, I'm Steve Andrews from UltiworldDiscGolf.com and Skybreed Discs. And today we're going to talk about a different throwing style called the wide rail. Many people are familiar with it, and it's something that I tried and have found a lot of success with. Um, some observers have said that it's an advanced style or it's only for more power and have advised against it, but for me it's really helped my game and really helped my swing be a lot easier. I think when most of us, when I started playing, I threw more of a straight extension style, right? The kind of idea that the fastest or the shortest length between 2 points is a straight line. So you want to keep the disc as straight as you can and focused on a long reach back. This was the kind of things you saw in videos from Will Schustrick and other players. Simon and Eagle have that really beautiful, straight extension. So, and originally in an earlier video, I talked about how this led to reaching back and rounding. But even when I did it right, for example, I was really turning and getting in that long extended period, that position. I can get into this position, right? So I can get here and hold it, but my problem was getting out of it, right? So because sometimes if I got into that position, right, that really good straight line position, if I started with my arm came ahead, I left my body behind and I kind of threw it high and nose up. On the other hand, if I got into that good straight line position and then I really turned with my body, my disc came outside and I could round really badly. So it wasn't hard to get into that position. I mean, it requires some athleticism, but it was really hard getting out. And so I gradually started to, because my problem was rounding, was getting into a wide rail position. Now, all that means is a wide rail position is it's nothing really exotic. It's just that in the back of your backswing, instead of being in a straight line position here, you're gonna be wider. Now, it could be here or it could be here. The reason that this is so good for me is that I can really unwind with my body and it gets into a throwing position. And no matter how wide I am, as long as I'm going from the ground up and not pulling, it comes into a really good throwing position, right? I go from a wide position into where I kind of want to be when I throw. And so the question really is pulling, because when I was in that extended straight position, I really needed to time a pull of the arm and the turn of the body. And when I got it right, I could throw really, really great shots. But if my arm was early, then I was kind of leaving my body behind. And if my body was early, I was spinning out. And the wide rail fixed that because it kind of got rid of the pull and instead could rely on my body rotation. Now, there's a lot of instructors who teach this. Seabass 22 has had some really good things about the wide rail. The spin and throw golf that Bradley Walker teaches is a kind of I've seen places where it seems like he doesn't want to call it a wide rail, but that body turn and no pull is one way to get there, right? So you have if there is a pull in the wide rail, it happens here. That is the pull rather than starting from back here. I usually don't even really think about a pull, but it still kind of works for me. So now the big question is, well, how do you do it? And there are a lot of pros who throw like this, right? So Barry Schultz and Philo Brathwaite have are really wide railers. Nate Doss has a wide rail. Paul McBeth has a wide rail. So really great players do it. Now really great other players don't. So again, if you're getting into a good straight line position and you're getting good throws, don't mess with the wide rail, right? A swing change when you don't need to make it is a solution in search of a problem. So don't do that. But if you are having trouble, if you don't rotate as well, if you're bigger in the middle and you have trouble swinging around it, or if you are just not really flexible in your thoracic spine, or if you're having the problem I had, which is I could get into the position, but getting out of it consistently was difficult, you can try the wide rail. And there's a couple of ways to do it. I don't think the thing to do is to copy a particular pro and do it exactly like they do. I mean, some of them pros do it differently, and they've probably come to this over developing it gradually over time, and so they might not do it in a way that'll work for you. But here's a couple of different options. One of them is a kind of an early direct set, right? So you have players like Philo or Barry will, on the beginning of their movement, as they start their X step forward, they extend the disc out and then rotate their body to get it in position, and then throw with that body to bring it back in. So it has a direct out, turn, and then a swing, right? So in the article at Ultiworld, you'll see some still pictures and videos of those. I'll put the link below. So that's one way, is to go out early, really rotate your body, and then take it through. Now, Nate Doss, there's another thing of a forward press, right? So a lot of players will have a forward press where as they're moving forward down the tee pad, they either bump it out or bump it forward, and then at that point they swing back. Now this isn't always part of a forward press. Sometimes it's about timing. For example, Katrina Allen has that pump that isn't really a forward press. I mean, it's a forward press, but it's not as much as getting into a wide rail. It's about the timing. If you tend to reach back too soon, and so you wind up here before you've turned your body, a forward press can slow that down. But also for wide railers like Nate Doss, who really does this, he pumps it forward, and then he brings it straight on that line into a wide rail position and throws, right? So to Nate Doss again, so he'll go out and then bring it down to that wide rail position. Now, so one of the most famous, of course, is Paul McBeth, and his is not exactly like Nate Doss's. He has a forward press, and certainly it's diminished as his career has gone on. If you look at 2012, even moving into 2019, he still had a very pronounced forward press. So he had a forward press, but he didn't do what Doss did, which is take it back on that line. He had a forward press, and then he brought it into his body and then back out. It was really a kind of a curve. And then from there, he would throw a shot. So I'm not necessarily advising, you could do worse than copying Paul McBeth, but there is a lot of movement in that kind of throw. But there is something that he does and other players do as well, which is a late set, a swinging set. So rather than moving out or a forward press and taking it that way, you can instead have a swing that looks much more like a regular kind of extension swing. So if you've been throwing in kind of a standard straight pull way, there's a way to kind of move into a wide rail position without having to redo how your swing works, right? So instead, you can start your swing the normal way, and as you turn and extend, you extend outward. So you start almost on a much slighter curve, and then you can throw from that position. So if you're looking behind, right, you start in a normal position, what looks fairly typical, and as you turn and extend, you just hinge outward. Now it can be a small hinge or a big hinge, but even a small hinge allows you to have the benefits of that body turn position of a wide rail without being so much different from the way you normally throw the disc. So that's really what I've done, and it's really helped that I can concentrate on that body turn and not have to time it with a pull. I think there must be players who get either so used to that standard position that it becomes natural. I'm sure that Simon and Eagle and these guys, Will Shoestrick, don't have to think about it. I don't know if it's body type, that if you're long and willowy and I am not, that's easier to get into and throw from. But for me, it's been really easy to get into a wide rail position and then throw from the ground up, and it's been really simple without having to time that pull at the same time. So if the wide rail might be something you want to trial, if you're running into some problems throwing the other way, try a wide rail. It's really worked for me. Thanks.